07:30 a.m., April 18th, 1945, B-17G. Liberty Bell, tail number 448846, cruises at 20,000 feet above the South Pacific. The mission? Strike Japanese supply depots on the New Guinea coast before the long-range bombing campaign shifts entirely to B-29 operations. The 43rd Bombardment Group has logged 83 sorties this month alone. Attrition rate 11%. Inside the pressurized tail compartment, Sergeant Frank Johnson scans empty sky through bulletproof glass. The horizon is unbroken blue. Sunlight gleams off the bomber's aluminum skin, making enemy approaches difficult to predict. His hands rest on the Browning's charging handles. Muscle memory guides every motion. Ammunition belts feed smoothly. He checks the interlock mechanism twice. Prepping for intercept, Staff Sergeant Tony Morales calls from the waist gun position. Frank nods, though no one sees. His eyes flick to the small mirror propped near his control panel. It wasn't standard issue. He'd requisitioned it 3 days earlier. A battlefield modification born from frustration, twisting to scan his 6 left, his back exposed for critical seconds. He'd tested the mirror on the ground. Angles, focal distance, reflection clarity. Up here at altitude, it felt like desperation. But desperation had saved men before. 09:50 a.m., mid-air, 70 miles southeast of Wewak. The crew operates in practiced silence. Pilot Captain Harold Vickers maintains altitude and heading. Navigator Lieutenant Sam Chen cross-checks their position against coastal landmarks. Bombardier Corporal Eddie Rourke prepares the Norden bomb site. Everyone knows their role. Everyone waits for the inevitable. The skies above New Guinea are deceptive, clear one moment, swarming the next. Frank's mind drifts to gunnery school at Kingman, Arizona. Endless hours in simulators, instructors shouting over engine noise, lead calculations, deflection shooting, barrel discipline, all theory until men started dying. A glance through his small window confirms movement, low, distant, but closing. A single enemy fighter, likely a Nakajima Ki 43 Oscar, banks into position 3,000 yards aft. The radio crackles. Bandit, 12 o'clock high, closing fast. Adrenaline floods Frank's system. His hands move to the mirror. A slight tilt, barely perceptible. Now the enemy aircraft appears in the reflection. No contortion, no blind spot. The Oscar's speed, distance, trajectory, all visible. It feels wrong, counterintuitive, and yet it works. The reflection shows what his neck cannot turn far enough to see. Frank's breathing steadies. The enemy closes to 2,000 yards. He tracks the reflection. His fingers rest on the trigger. 10:07 a.m., 73 miles from target. Taking fire. The shout cuts through the intercom. Rounds slam into the B-17's tail section. The plane lurches. Frank's harness digs into his shoulders. In the cockpit, Vickers calls for evasive maneuvers. The bombers ahead, part of a 12-plane formation, maintain course toward the drop zone. Frank doesn't have the luxury of watching them. The Oscar that grazed them is banking right, lining up for another pass. Frank's fingers adjust the mirror. 15 degrees. The reflection sharpens. There. The enemy fighter arcs through his field of view, closing at 300 knots. Banking angle, 30 degrees. Distance, 1,200 yards. Frank calculates deflection instinctively. His training merges with the mirror's geometry. He fires. The twin Brownings roar. Recoil shakes the compartment. Tracers arc across the sky. 4-second burst, exactly as trained. The Oscar's canopy shatters. Smoke trails from its engine cowling. The fighter tumbles, corkscrewing into the cloud deck below. Silence. The intercom erupts in brief celebration. Frank exhales. His hands are trembling now. He glances at the mirror. Condensation fogs one corner. The glass is intact. The angle held. He'd fired without twisting, without losing sight of the forward hemisphere. The mirror had given him spatial awareness no training manual mentioned. It was improvisation, and it had just saved the crew. 11:13 a.m., B-17G. Liberty Bell, inbound to target. The crew begins to adapt. What had been Frank's private experiment is now shared knowledge. Over the intercom, Tony Morales asks about the setup. Frank explains: mirror angle, focal distance, peripheral integration. It sounds technical. It feels like instinct. He makes small adjustments, testing limits. The mirror is 5 inches by 3, beveled edges, mounted with friction tape to a structural rib. Not elegant, functional. "Hey, Slick," Tony's voice crackles. "That mirror trick, it's working. Freaky, but working." Frank doesn't reply immediately. He's focused on the reflection. 2 enemy fighters approach from 8 o'clock low. Mitsubishi A6M Zeros, likely launched from Wewak, fast, maneuverable, dangerous. The mirror shows their approach vector before the waist gunners call it out. Frank tracks them. They're climbing, trying to get under the formation's belly. A classic tactic. The lead Zero pulls up sharply. Frank fires. The Browning's hammer. Tracers converge. The Zero's wing root ruptures. Fuel ignites. The fighter spins away, trailing black smoke. The second Zero breaks off. Frank's breathing is controlled now. The mirror isn't just a tool, it's a force multiplier, a way to see the battle in 3 dimensions without sacrificing firing position. He wipes condensation from the glass. His reflection stares back, ghostly in the pressurized compartment's dim light. 12:25 p.m., nearing Japanese-held airspace over New Guinea's northern coast. The mission grinds forward. Hours in the air take their toll. Frank's shoulders ache from the gun's weight. His neck is stiff from constant vigilance. But he cannot relax. The mirror demands focus. Every angle must be recalculated as the bomber maneuvers. His mind works in overdrive, anticipating attack vectors. From the cockpit, Vickers reports 5 enemy fighters at 5 o'clock high, closing fast. Frank hears the call before he sees them. The mirror shows their silhouettes first, dark shapes against brilliant sky. Kawasaki, Ki 61, Tonys. Faster than Zeros, better armed. They dive in a staggered formation. Frank's hands move. He adjusts the mirror 3 degrees. The reflection sharpens. The lead Tony fills his field of view. Distance, 2,000 yards. Closure rate, 400 knots. Frank fires. The Brownings roar. Tracers stream upward. The enemy fighter jinks left, but Frank anticipated the move. The mirror showed the angle. His burst catches the Tony's fuselage. The fighter's canopy explodes. It rolls inverted and plunges. The formation continues. Frank's hands shake. Not fear, exhaustion. The mirror trick is brilliant, yes, but it requires unbroken concentration. His vision blurs momentarily. A dull headache sets in. He blinks it away. The mission isn't over. 12:58 p.m., 71,000 feet offshore. No time to savor victories. The next wave hits hard. 6 enemy fighters, mixed types, Zeros and Oscars, swarm the formation. The B-17's waist guns open up. The top turret gunner, Sergeant Lou Briggs, calls targets. Chaos erupts. Frank's compartment vibrates with recoil. Spent casings pile around his boots. His weapon jams. A malfunction, rare but catastrophic. He clears it in 8 seconds. Procedure drilled into memory. The mirror is useless if the guns don't fire. His hands are slick with sweat. The mirror feels heavier than it should. Or perhaps he's just tired. An Oscar makes a head-on pass at the formation leader. Frank tracks it in his mirror, fires, misses. The tracer stream falls short. He adjusts, fires again. The Oscar's tail section disintegrates, but another fighter is already diving. Frank's exhaustion is showing. His reactions are a half second slow. Half a second is fatal at these speeds. Vickers calls for tighter formation. The bombers close up, overlapping fields of fire. Frank watches the mirror. The reflection shows 3 fighters circling, looking for an opening. His finger rests on the trigger, waiting. The mirror trick is still working. But human endurance has limits. He can feel them approaching. 1:17 p.m. Inbound to final approach. The fighters keep coming. Frank fires, adjusts, fires again. His body is betraying him. Fatigue clouds his judgment. A shot goes wide. Another is late. His hands fumble on the controls. Tony's voice cuts through the intercom. Try adjusting the mirror's tilt. Sharper angle. Frank hesitates. Changing the setup mid-engagement is risky, but so is dying. He loosens the friction tape, tilts the mirror 8 degrees steeper. The reflection shifts. Now he can see a wider arc, almost 120 degrees of rear coverage. It's a gamble. If the angle is wrong, the geometry fails. He test fires a short burst to recalibrate his aim. An Oscar appears in the new field of view. Frank fires. The Browning's thunder. The Oscar's engine cowling peels away. Coolant sprays. The fighter falls. The new angle works. Tony's suggestion, born from watching Frank's technique, has improved the system. 2 minds refining one innovation. Frank feels a surge of focus. The headache recedes. His hands feel lighter. The mirror, now tilted, shows enemy fighters before they enter attack range. He's not reacting anymore. He's anticipating. Another 0 dives. Frank fires before it completes the maneuver. The fighter breaks off, smoking. The tide is turning. 1:45 p.m. Approaching the target zone. Frank's mirror trick has evolved. What began as improvisation is now doctrine. At least for this crew, the waist gunners have started calling out targets based on Frank's mirror observations. He's become an early warning system, a rearward radar. The Brownings fire in controlled bursts. Ammunition discipline. Every round counts. 2 more fighters approach. Frank tracks them in the mirror, fires. One explodes mid-air, the other peels away. The B-17 formation tightens. They're 5 minutes from the drop. Bombardier Rourke is on the northern sight now, making final adjustments. Wind speed, altitude, ground speed. The Japanese defences below are throwing everything up. Flak bursts pepper the sky. Shrapnel pings off the fuselage. Frank ignores it. His world is the mirror, the reflection, the angle. Another fighter, a lone 0, makes a desperate pass. Frank fires. The 0's wing folds. It spirals into the jungle below. Tony's voice. "Slick, you're a goddamn artist." Frank doesn't respond. He's watching the mirror. The sky behind them is clear. For now. Vickers calls out, "Bomb bay doors open." The formation steadies. Below, the target, Japanese supply depots, comes into view. The mission is almost complete. Frank keeps his eyes on the mirror. The battle isn't over until they're home. 2:03 p.m. Over the target. The Japanese defences are desperate. They know what's coming. Fighters scramble from hidden airstrips. Anti-aircraft batteries open up. The sky is a tapestry of fire and metal. Frank watches it all in his mirror. 2 fighters diving. 3 more climbing. His Brownings track the nearest threat. He fires. A Ki-43 breaks apart. The formation drops its bombs. Below, explosions ripple through the supply depot. Secondary detonations follow. Fuel dumps. Ammunition stores. The ground erupts. Frank's compartment shakes from the concussive waves. But he doesn't look down. His eyes stay on the mirror. More fighters. Always more. They're throwing everything at the bombers. Frank fires until his barrels glow. The intercom is a chaos of voices. 3 o'clock high. Break right. Flak at 10. Frank filters it all. His world is smaller. The mirror, the guns, the reflection. An Oscar fills his view. He fires. It falls. A 0. Fires. It burns. The mirror shows him everything. His hands are numb, his shoulders scream, but he keeps firing. The formation turns for home. The fighters pursue. Frank tracks them. One by one, they fall away. Out of ammunition, out of fuel, out of courage, the mirror trick has tripled his effective kill rate. The records will show it later. For now, he just survives. 2:15 p.m., egress route over the Bismarck Sea. The B-17 formation limps homeward. One bomber is smoking badly. Another has feathered an engine, but they're intact. The Japanese fighters have withdrawn. Fuel exhaustion, attrition. Whatever the reason, the sky is clear. Frank sits back for the first time in 7 hours. His hands are slick with oil and sweat. The Brownings are silent, cooling. Steam rises from the barrels. He looks at the mirror. It's fogged, streaked with condensation. The friction tape has loosened, but it held. The bombing run was successful. Minimal interference from enemy fighters. The tail gunner position, historically the most vulnerable, had become a fortress. Frank's innovation, refined under fire, had worked. Vickers' voice crackles over the intercom. "Good shooting, Slick. Damn good shooting." The crew echoes the sentiment. Frank doesn't respond. He's too tired. His body aches. His vision swims. But they've done it. Against a determined enemy. Against the odds. A simple mirror, 5 inches of glass and friction tape, had changed the equation. The mission report will note enemy fighters destroyed. It will mention the tail gunner's performance, but it won't capture this moment. The exhaustion, the relief, the knowledge that improvisation, born from necessity, had saved lives. Frank closes his eyes. The engines drone. The Pacific stretches below. They're going home. 3:05 p.m., approaching the airbase at Port Moresby. The formation descends through scattered clouds. Frank watches the jungle coast appear below, green, endless, hostile. But behind them now, the B-17 touches down. Tires screech. The fortress rolls to a stop. Engines wind down. The crew emerges, stiff and exhausted. Ground personnel swarm the bomber, checking for damage. There are holes, dozens, shrapnel punctures, bullet impacts, but nothing critical. The crew walks toward the debriefing tent, each man lost in thought. Some losses were recorded elsewhere in the formation. 2 gunners wounded, 1 navigator killed by flak. The price of the mission. Frank carries his mirror. It's cracked now. A hairline fracture across one corner, probably from recoil vibration or thermal stress. He doesn't know. He looks at his reflection in the damaged glass. His face is haggard, eyes bloodshot, but alive. He made a difference today. The mirror trick, absurd as it seemed on the ground, had worked in combat. He doesn't know if it was luck, doesn't know if it will work again, but he knows one thing: human ingenuity, applied under pressure, can shift outcomes. A 5-inch mirror had given him situational awareness, had turned a defensive position into a killing field, had brought them home. He tucks the mirror into his flight jacket. The glass is warm, against his chest. 12 p.m., Port Moresby Air Base, New Guinea. The sun descends toward the horizon. Frank sits outside the debriefing tent, watching the light change. Gold to orange to red. The base is quiet now. Maintenance crews work on damaged bombers. Armourers reload ammunition. The rhythm of war continues. But for Frank, there's a moment of stillness. He survived. The mission succeeded. The mirror, his improvisation, had proven itself. He pulls it from his jacket. The crack has widened. The reflection is distorted now, probably unusable for another mission, but it served its purpose. He thinks about the fighters he shot down, 7 confirmed, maybe 8, the most he's ever recorded in a single sortie. The mirror had multiplied his effectiveness, not through firepower, through awareness, by seeing what he couldn't otherwise see, by eliminating blind spots, a simple geometric trick. Angle of incidence equals angle of reflection. Physics applied to survival. Other crews will hear about it. Some will try it. Some won't believe it. But the evidence is in the mission report, in the gun camera footage, in the empty sky behind them. Frank watches the sun touch the jungle canopy. Another mission tomorrow. Maybe the mirror can be repaired. Maybe he'll need a new one. Or maybe command will dismiss it as luck. He doesn't care. Today, it worked. Today, he's alive. That's enough. 5 p.m. Operations Tent, Port Moresby. Lieutenant Colonel Arthur Webb reviews the mission reports. 12 bombers dispatched, 11 returned, target destroyed, enemy fighters engaged, estimated 23, enemy fighters destroyed, confirmed 14. The tail gunner on Liberty Bell, Sergeant Johnson, accounted for 7. Webb pauses. 7 kills from a tail position is extraordinary. He reads the combat narrative. The mirror, the improvised sighting aid. Webb has seen innovation before. Battlefield modifications, crew ingenuity. But this is documented, verifiable. The gun camera footage supports it. He makes a note in the margin. Recommend review for wider implementation. The mirror trick may seem trivial, a piece of glass and tape, but warfare is won by accumulating marginal advantages. Better visibility means better targeting. Better targeting means higher kill ratios. Higher kill ratios mean fewer losses. The calculus is clear. Webb closes the report. It will go into the archive. A footnote in the 43rd Bombardment Group's operational history. Johnson's innovation will be mentioned in briefings. Some crews will adopt it, others will ignore it. Within months, the Pacific Air War will shift entirely to B-29 operations. The B-17s will be reassigned, retired, forgotten. But for one mission, on one day, a tail gunner with a shaving mirror changed the odds. The file closes without ceremony. The numbers had already recorded the outcome. The men would remember what the documents could not capture.